Hey coin fans and treasure hunters, welcome to World Rare Coins, the place where history, mystery, and massive value collide in the world of rare US coins. If you think a quarter is just pocket change, think again. Here, we uncover hidden gems, minting mistakes, and mind-blowing stories behind coins that collectors dream about. Ready to discover coins that could change your life? Then stick around, because you're about to enter the thrilling world of rare coins like never before. Let's get started. Top 1 today, we're talking about the United States of America 5-cent coin from the year 1943. At first glance, it might seem like just another old nickel, but I promise you, there's far more to this story. This coin carries with it a unique history, a touch of mystery, and in some cases, a staggering value that could make your jaw drop. So listen closely and enjoy the journey, because this little 5-cent piece is more than just pocket change. It's a treasure waiting to be discovered. But let's start by stepping back into history. The year is 1943. The world is deep in the midst of World War II, and every aspect of American life is affected by the war effort. Metal resources like copper and nickel, which were typically used to make coins, were in high demand for manufacturing military equipment, ammunition, and machinery. This meant the United States Mint had to adapt and change the way coins were made. For the 5-cent coin, commonly called the nickel, the composition was altered significantly. Instead of the usual 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, the mint produced what collectors now call the war nickels, made from a special blend of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese. Why silver? Because nickel was a critical metal needed for armor plating and military machinery, and copper was also in high demand. Silver, although precious, was more available at that moment and could fill the gap while allowing the coins to still function well in everyday commerce. This decision made the 1943 nickels unique in the history of U.S. coinage. They were one of the only circulating nickels ever produced with actual silver content. That alone gives them a special place in the hearts of collectors. The design of the 1943 5-cent coin remains one of the classics in American coinage. On the obverse, or front, you'll see the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, whose contributions to the nation's founding and principles are legendary. Flip it over, and on the reverse side you'll find his famous home, Monticello, rendered in fine architectural detail. But if you look closely, there's a small yet important detail that sets these wartime nickels apart: the mint mark above Monticello's dome. In normal years, the mint mark would be small and placed to the right of the building. But on these silver nickels, it appears in a large, bold form directly above the building. This was done to help identify them, so they could later be removed from circulation if needed. Now, let's talk about what makes certain 1943 nickels extremely rare and valuable. While millions of these coins were produced, not all were created equal. Some were struck with incredible precision, resulting in sharp details and beautiful luster. Others have survived over the decades in almost pristine, uncirculated condition because they were either saved by collectors early on or accidentally set aside and forgotten. But the true stars of the collector's market are the coins that have errors or unusual variations. Minting errors can occur for many reasons: misaligned dies, double strikes, incorrect planchets, or even mixing up the metal compositions. One of the most famous and valuable varieties for the 1943 nickel is the so-called overdate error, where the number 3 in the date appears to have been struck over another number, creating a doubled or shadowed effect. Another highly desirable error is when a 1943 nickel was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a different coin, such as a copper planchet left over from earlier years. These mistakes are incredibly scarce, and when they surface, collectors go into a frenzy trying to acquire them. Even without errors, high-grade examples of the 1943 5-cent coin are sought after because of their silver content and historical significance. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as mint state 65 or higher can command impressive prices at auction. But combine pristine condition with a rare error, and you have the recipe for a coin that could be worth an unbelievable sum. Collectors are drawn to this coin for more than just its value. It's a piece of American history, something tangible from a time when the nation was united in a global struggle, adapting every resource to the cause. Holding a 1943 silver nickel in your hand is like holding a tiny piece of that era's determination and ingenuity. The coin tells a story of sacrifice, innovation, and resilience. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the potential value. If you happen to have a 1943 United States 5-cent coin in flawless, uncirculated condition, and especially if it carries a rare minting error or unusual feature, it could be worth as much as $87,000. Yes, you heard me right. $87,000 for a coin that was originally worth just 5 cents. That's the magic of numismatics. The transformation of small, everyday objects into historical treasures worth a fortune. So, if you have an old box of coins lying around, take a close look. You never know what kind of treasure you might be holding without even realizing it. Top 2, we are talking about the United States of America 5-cent coin from the year 1964. This little Jefferson nickel may just be hiding in your change jar, and yet, in certain rare cases, it can be worth a small fortune. So sit back, listen carefully, and enjoy the journey into this fascinating piece of history, because what you learn today might just make you look at nickels in a whole new light. Let's first set the scene. The year 1964 was a turbulent and transformative period in American history. The country was in the middle of the space race. Civil rights movements were reshaping the nation, and tensions were high both domestically and internationally. It was also a monumental year for U.S. coinage, as it marked the final year the United States struck circulating silver coins for dimes, quarters, and half dollars. While nickels were never made of silver in regular circulation, the 1964 5-cent coin still holds historical importance in its own right. Why? Because 1964 was also the year the mint was trying to cope with massive coin shortages across the country. Businesses, banks, and everyday people were struggling to get enough change for daily transactions. This shortage led to a huge surge in coin production, and the mint struck an incredible number of nickels that year, more than 1 billion in total. With such high numbers, it might seem impossible for any 1964 nickel to be rare. But here's the catch. In the world of coin collecting, it's not always about how many were made. It's about how many have survived in perfect, error-free, or error-filled collectible condition. And that's where things get interesting. The design of the 1964 nickel is classic and iconic. On the front, we have the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, America's third president, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," along with the year. On the reverse side, you'll find Jefferson's Virginia estate, Monticello, with E Pluribus Unum above and United States of America and 5 cents below. While the design had been in use since 1938, sharp details, strong strikes, and clean surfaces are much harder to come by than you might think, especially for a coin made during such a massive production year. What makes a 1964 nickel truly valuable? The answer lies in a combination of condition, minting location, and, most exciting of all, errors. The majority of 1964 nickels entered circulation quickly, picking up scratches, dings, and wear from countless transactions. But the rarest and most valuable examples are those that were never released into general use, remaining in pristine, uncirculated condition with sharp details and a bright, original luster. Coins graded by top services like PCGS or NGC as mint state 67 or higher can already fetch strong prices. But add in a rare error, and you're talking about a collector's dream point. One of the most well-known error types for this year is the double die variety. This occurs when the design elements are impressed into the die more than once, resulting in doubling that can be seen in the date, the word liberty, or even the inscriptions on the reverse. Another valuable error is the off-center strike, where the design is visibly misaligned. There are also nickels from 1964 that were struck on the wrong metal planchets, such as leftover blanks intended for foreign coins or other denominations. These are incredibly scarce and command top dollar at auction. There's even an ongoing fascination with the 1964 special strike nickels, which are believed to have been made for presentation or testing purposes. These coins have an unusual satin-like finish and sharp details unlike normal circulation strikes, and only a tiny number are known to exist. If you were ever lucky enough to come across one of these, you'd be holding one of the rarest nickels in American history. Collectors love the 1964 nickel not only because of these rare varieties and errors, but also because it represents a transitional time in U.S. minting history. The mid-1960s saw major changes in coin production, including the removal of silver from most denominations and the push toward massive output to meet national demand. The 1964 nickel is a snapshot of that era, a coin that bridges the old traditions and the modern era of U.S. currency. Now comes the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. If you happen to have a 1964 United States 5-cent coin in flawless, uncirculated condition, especially if it carries a rare double die, off-center strike, wrong planchet, or special strike finish, it could be worth as much as $85,000. Yes, $85,000 for a nickel that most people would overlook without a second thought. That's the magic of coin collecting: history, rarity, and passion coming together to turn a small piece of metal into a treasure. So the next time you come across a 1964 nickel, take a moment to study it. You never know, it could be the coin that changes your life. Top 3, we're going to take a closer look at a coin that almost every American has seen, held, and spent without a second thought. The United States of America 5-cent coin from the year 1971. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary Jefferson nickel, the kind you'd find rattling around in your change jar. But don't be fooled. Under the right circumstances, this little piece of metal can turn into a collector's jackpot. So listen very carefully, because this is one of those coins that could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to recognize its true potential. Let's set the stage. The year 1971 was a time of great change in America. The Vietnam War was ongoing, social and cultural shifts were reshaping the country, and the economy was beginning to feel the effects of the coming decade's inflation. The coinage system, though steady in design, was seeing subtle changes in production quality and minting techniques. While the Jefferson nickel design had been in use since 1938, the 1971 edition stands out to collectors because it was struck during a period when the U.S. Mint was dealing with increasing production demands and occasional quality control challenges. The design is timeless. On the obverse side, you'll see the familiar left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, his gaze steady, his hair and coat rendered in fine detail. The inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" frame his profile, with the date 1971 to the right. Flip the coin over, and you'll find Monticello, Jefferson's beautiful Virginia estate, standing proudly in the center. Above it is the phrase "E pluribus unum," and below it are the denomination 5 cents and the words "United States of America." It's a design so classic that it has become one of the most recognizable in U.S. coinage history. With millions of 1971 nickels produced, how could one possibly be rare and valuable? The answer is in the details, specifically condition, mint location, and minting errors. While the Philadelphia and Denver mints struck enormous numbers of these coins, only a tiny fraction have survived in exceptional, untouched condition. Most went straight into circulation, picking up scratches, nicks, and wear almost immediately. High-grade, uncirculated examples with full steps on Monticello's design, the fine lines on the building's steps, are especially prized, as they prove the coin was struck with extraordinary precision. These full steps nickels are much harder to find than you'd imagine, especially from the 1970s, but the real treasures are the error coins. In 1971, the mint experienced its fair share of striking mishaps, and those mistakes are exactly what collectors chase after. Double die errors, where parts of the design are impressed twice, create a dramatic doubling effect that can be seen on the date, lettering, or even Jefferson's features. Off-center strikes, where the design is visibly misaligned, make for a coin that is instantly eye-catching. Then there are the wrong planchet errors, in which a nickel design was accidentally struck on a coin blank mint for another denomination, such as a penny or dime. These are incredibly rare and can command staggering prices when they appear at auction. Another factor in the 1971 nickel's appeal is the condition of the strike itself. Many coins from this year have weak or mushy details due to worn dies or rushed production. Finding one with sharp detail, bright luster, and no marks is an accomplishment in itself. For the true top-tier prices, the coin needs to be graded by a respected service like PCGS or NGC at mint state 66 or higher. With exceptional eye appeal, Collectors love the 1971 nickel because it sits in that sweet spot between modern and vintage coinage. It's old enough to have historical interest, but young enough that you might actually find one in your change if you're lucky. For those who enjoy the thrill of the hunt, checking nickels for rare errors or exceptional strikes is one of the most rewarding and affordable ways to potentially stumble upon something extraordinary. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for, the potential value. If you have a 1971 United States 5-cent coin in pristine, uncirculated condition, particularly one with a rare double die, off-center strike, wrong planchet, or flawless full steps detail, it could be worth as much as $83,000. Yes, you heard that right. $83,000 for a coin most people wouldn't think twice about spending on a cup of coffee. That's the magic of numismatics, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary through history, rarity, and collector passion. So the next time you come across a 1971 nickel, don't just toss it into your change jar. Take a close look at the date, the mint mark, the details on Monticello, and the overall condition. You never know, you might be holding a piece of history that could change your life. We're going to focus on a coin that many people have touched, spent, and overlooked without ever realizing its hidden potential. The United States of America 5-cent coin from the year 1972. It may look like an ordinary Jefferson nickel, the kind you might find at the bottom of your drawer or jingling in your pocket, but appearances can be deceiving. Some of these coins have become extremely valuable collector's items, and if you listen closely to the story I'm about to tell, you'll understand exactly why this small piece of metal can be worth a small fortune. Let's take a trip back to the early 1970s. The United States was going through a period of transition. The Vietnam War was still on, technology was advancing rapidly, and American coinage was entering a more modern era. The Jefferson nickel had already been in production for more than 3 decades, since 1938, but the early 70s brought changes in the minting process and in the overall look and feel of coins due to increasing production demands. The year 1972 in particular saw the U.S. Mint striking hundreds of millions of nickels. But as any collector will tell you, it's not just how many coins are made. It's about which ones survive in the best possible condition, and which ones carry the kinds of rare features that make collectors' hearts race. The design of the 1972 nickel carries on the long tradition of honoring Thomas Jefferson. On the obverse side, we see his portrait, facing left, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" to the left and "Liberty," along with the date to the right. The reverse side features Monticello, Jefferson's elegant Virginia estate, with E pluribus unum above and United States of America and 5 cents below. While the design may seem familiar, the striking quality, detail sharpness, and specific minting quirks from this year are what make some 1972 nickels truly special. You see, the U.S. Mint produced coins in both Philadelphia and Denver that year, and while most of these were perfectly ordinary, a small percentage came out with rare errors or exceptionally sharp strikes. Condition plays a huge role here. Finding a 1972 nickel that still has its original mint luster, no scratches, no bag marks, and crisp details on every part of Jefferson's face and Monticello is not easy. Over the years, most of these coins have been worn down through regular use, leaving only a tiny fraction in pristine, collector-worthy condition. But what really makes certain 1972 nickels valuable are the errors. And this is where things get exciting. Some nickels from this year display a double die obverse, where the date, lettering, or even parts of Jefferson's profile appear doubled due to a slight misalignment during the die creation process. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted, leaving part of the blank planchet visible. Then there are wrong planchet errors, extremely rare coins struck on a metal blank mint for another denomination, like a penny or a dime. These kinds of mistakes are like lottery tickets for collectors. When one appears at auction, it attracts immediate attention and high bids. Another sought-after feature among Jefferson nickel enthusiasts is the full steps designation. This refers to the horizontal steps at the base of Monticello on the reverse side of the coin. Most nickels from this period have weakly struck or incomplete steps due to worn dies or high-speed minting. A 1972 nickel with full, sharp, uninterrupted steps is much harder to find, and collectors will pay a significant premium for it, especially in high grades. It's also worth mentioning that in the 1970s, quality control at the mint was challenged by sheer production volume. As a result, sharp, flawless strikes were the exception rather than the rule. That's why coins from this era in mint state 66 or 67 with full steps can be so valuable. They are survivors from a time when perfection was rare. Collectors are drawn to the 1972 nickel not just for its monetary value, but for the thrill of the hunt. This is the kind of coin that could realistically still be found in circulation if you're lucky and patient. Searching through rolls of nickels, inspecting every date, and looking for those tiny signs of rarity is part of what makes coin collecting so rewarding. Every coin tells a story, and the 1972 nickel is a story of a nation in transition, a mint under pressure, and a design that has stood the test of time. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value reveal. If you have a 1972 United States 5-cent coin in flawless, uncirculated condition, especially one with a double die error, off-center strike, wrong planchet, or perfect full steps, it could be worth as much as $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. $80,000 for a coin most people would spend without a second thought. That's the magic of numismatics. Finding treasure where others see only spare change. So the next time you come across a 1972 nickel, don't just toss it into your pocket or drop it in a vending machine. Take a closer look at the date, the details on Monticello, and the overall condition. You never know. You might be holding a tiny piece of history worth more than you could imagine. Top 5, we are going to talk about a coin that almost everyone in America has held at some point. A simple, everyday Jefferson nickel. But this one comes from the year 1974, and while most people wouldn't give it a second thought, certain examples of this coin have shocked collectors with their rarity, beauty, and value. If you've ever had a handful of nickels and thought they were all worth just 5 cents, think again, because the 1974 United States 5-cent coin could be hiding in plain sight, and in some cases, it's worth a small fortune. Let's set the scene. The year 1974 was a remarkable time in American history. The nation was still feeling the aftereffects of the Vietnam War, the Watergate scandal was making headlines, and the economy was battling inflation. In the world of coins, the U.S. Mint was working at full speed, producing billions of coins across all denominations to meet the demands of a growing population and a fast-moving economy. The Jefferson nickel had already been in production for more than 3 decades, but during the mid-1970s, minting technology and quality control were undergoing subtle changes. These changes, along with the sheer volume of coins produced, set the stage for rare varieties, unusual errors, and coins that collectors now prize. The design of the 1974 nickel is familiar yet timeless. On the obverse, we have the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, America's 3rd president, looking left. Around him are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," with the date 1974 neatly placed to the right. On the reverse side, we see Monticello, Jefferson's elegant home in Virginia, with E pluribus unum above and United States of America and 5 cents below. This design has been beloved for decades, but as any seasoned collector will tell you, it's the small differences in quality, strike, and composition that make some coins worth far more than their face value does. Oh, why would a coin from 1974 be rare? First, condition is everything. Most nickels from this year went straight into circulation, clinking around in cash registers, vending machines, and pockets, quickly picking up scratches, wear, and discoloration. Finding one that has never been used, one that retains its original mint luster, sharp details, and no marks, is far harder than you might think. High-grade examples with pristine surfaces and perfect strikes are prized by collectors, especially those that achieve a high grade like Mint State 66 or higher from professional grading services, such as PCGS or NGC. But here's where it gets more exciting. The 1974 nickel has some rare and valuable minting errors that make it stand out. One of the most famous is the double die error. This happens when the coin's design is impressed into the die more than once, but slightly off alignment, creating a doubling effect that is visible to the naked eye. Doubling can appear on the date, on the word Liberty, or even on parts of Monticello. These double dies are rare and instantly make the coin more valuable. Another desirable error is the off-center strike, where the design is not properly aligned with the coin blank, leaving part of the surface blank and shifting the rest of the image to one side. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin. Then there are wrong planchet errors, coins that were struck on metal blanks meant for other denominations, like a penny or dime. These are extremely scarce, and collectors will pay top dollar for them. There's also something called the full steps designation, which refers to the steps at the base of Monticello on the reverse. In most 1974 nickels, the steps appear weak or incomplete due to worn dies or high-speed striking. But a coin with sharp, complete, uninterrupted steps, what collectors call full steps, is significantly rarer and commands a much higher price in the marketplace. The appeal of the 1974 nickel lies in its accessibility. This is a coin that could still be found in your change today. It's not locked away in a museum or buried deep underground. It's out there, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. That's the magic of coin collecting. The possibility that a small, ordinary-looking coin could turn out to be a rare treasure worth thousands. Collectors love the thrill of the hunt, and the 1974 nickel offers exactly that. Whether you're searching through rolls of coins from the bank, examining old change jars, or checking every nickel that passes through your hands, the possibility of finding a high-grade, error, or full steps example is what keeps the excitement alive. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value reveal. If you have a 1974 United States 5-cent coin in flawless, uncirculated condition, especially one with a rare double die, dramatic off-center strike, wrong planchet, or the coveted full steps designation, it could be worth as much as $78,000. Yes, you heard that right. $78,000 for a nickel that most people wouldn't give a second glance. That's the beauty of numismatics. The transformation of everyday change into a piece of history and a valuable collector's prize. So, the next time you come across a 1974 nickel, don't just toss it into your pocket or spend it without thinking. Take a closer look. You might just be holding a coin worth a small fortune. If you enjoyed this in-depth look at the hidden treasures hiding in plain sight, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss our next coin adventure. Until next time, happy collecting!